Greetings, dear viewers. I hope you are well, healthy, and surrounded with goodness. Today, we begin a journey into a civilization that most of the world has barely heard of. The civilization of Caral in the Supe Valley of Peru. It rose almost 5,000 years ago, around 2600 BC, making it as old as Mesopotamia and Egypt. Yet without the pyramids of Giza, without the mighty ziggurats, and without written records to tell its story, Caral is often called the mother city of the Americas because it stands as the earliest known urban center on the entire continent. When archaeologists uncovered its remains, they found a city of plazas, pyramids, terraced homes, and complex ceremonial centers. What makes it astonishing is that it thrived without many things we usually associate with civilization. There were no signs of war, no weapons, no fortifications. Instead, the people of Caral seem to have built their society on trade, ritual, music, and communal cooperation. The scale is breathtaking. The central pyramid, known as the Piramide Maya, rises about 60 feet high and covers an area larger than 4 football fields. Around it are circular plazas, stone platforms, and staircases that speak of organized labor and a vision of shared purpose. And here is something remarkable. Archaeologists discovered flutes made from pelican bones and horns crafted from deer. This suggests that music played an important role in the daily and ritual life of Caral's people. Unlike Egypt or Mesopotamia, Caral left no written script. Its people recorded nothing in clay or stone. Their story is written instead, in architecture, in agriculture, and in artifacts that whisper of a society thriving in peace, trade, and shared ceremony. But before we move to our today, I want to say this clearly. This channel is user-friendly, no offensive content, no misinformation. We explain things with respect, curiosity, and authenticity. Caral's economy was based not on conquest, but on exchange. Cotton grown in the valley was vital, not for clothing, but for making fishing nets. Those nets were traded with coastal communities, bringing in abundant anchovies and sardines to feed the inland population. So Caral was not isolated. It was connected through networks of trade that reached the Pacific coast and perhaps even farther. This was a civilization built on harmony with its environment, on cooperation between communities, and on traditions that still puzzle researchers today. When archaeologists first uncovered Caral in the late 20th century, the world was surprised. Before then, most scholars believed that complex civilizations in the Americas began much later, with the Olmecs in Mesoamerica, but Caral pushed the timeline back by more than 1,000 years. Its discovery proved that organized city life, monumental architecture, and advanced knowledge existed in South America long before the famous cultures like the Maya or Inca. The site was studied deeply by archaeologist Ruth Shady and her team in the 1990s. Through careful excavation, they found that Caral covered over 150 acres with 6 large pyramidal structures, sunken plazas, residential areas, and ceremonial spaces. It was not a village. It was a metropolis, built with vision and planning. One of the most fascinating elements is the city's design. Buildings were aligned with astronomical points, suggesting a deep understanding of celestial cycles. It appears that the people of Caral looked to the sky for guidance, not only in rituals, but in agriculture and seasonal rhythms. Another detail that sets Caral apart is its evidence of quipu-like chords. These knotted strings, known later among the Inca, were used as recording devices for numbers and accounts. Though no written language survived, the presence of these chords shows that Caral may have pioneered a system of record-keeping that echoed thousands of years later. Even more telling is the absence of violence. Archaeologists found no traces of fortifications, no walls of defense, no weapon stockpiles. This paints a rare picture, a civilization thriving, without warfare. Instead, Caral's people invested energy into music trade, religion, and collective construction projects. Imagine the gatherings, hundreds of men working in harmony, laying stones for terraces, raising pyramids, and celebrating in plazas with instruments and chants. Caral flourished for centuries, demonstrating that human societies can rise not only through conquest, but through cooperation. The story of Caral challenges our assumptions about civilization. It forces us to ask, is war truly necessary for human progress? Or can a society achieve greatness through peace, ritual, and shared purpose? Life in Caral was shaped by the Supe Valley's environment. The land was dry, with little rainfall, but the nearby rivers made irrigation possible. This allowed farming communities to cultivate cotton, squash, beans, and sweet potatoes. Cotton was the most valuable crop because it provided material for fishing nets. These nets connected Caral to coastal villages, creating a powerful exchange system. Fish from the sea for crops from the valley. This trade network made Caral prosperous. Food was plentiful, and surplus resources could be directed toward large building projects. That is why Caral's pyramids and plazas stand as silent witnesses of a society that thrived without kings or armies. Archaeologists studying the site found no palaces, no royal tombs, no statues of rulers. Instead, the architecture suggests a collective leadership model where decisions were likely shared among community leaders and priests. Religion played a central role. The circular plazas were probably stages for rituals involving fire, music, and offerings to the gods. Excavations uncovered burned plant remains and evidence of feasts, hinting at ceremonies where the community gathered to honor cosmic forces. The people of Caral were deeply spiritual, but their spirituality was tied to natural cycles. The alignment of pyramids with solstices and lunar phases shows how their worldview connected the heavens and the earth, and in their daily lives, music carried meaning. The bone flutes and horns discovered at Caral are some of the oldest instruments in the Americas. Imagine men standing in the plaza, playing haunting melodies that echoed across the desert valley, their sounds blending with chants and rhythmic clapping. What makes Caral extraordinary is not just its age, but its philosophy of life. It was a civilization that left behind no armies, no violent destruction layers, but instead a legacy of harmony, community, and respect for the environment. Even their engineering reflects this wisdom. Builders of Caral used shikra bags, woven baskets filled with stones, to reinforce walls against earthquakes. This early form of seismic technology shows remarkable foresight, as Peru sits on one of the world's most active fault lines. Through these innovations, Caral's people demonstrated that survival and progress could be achieved by observing nature, cooperating as communities, and honoring shared traditions. Caral's story is not only about one city, it represents an entire cultural tradition, often called the Norte Chico civilization, stretching across dozens of settlements in Peru's coastal valleys. Together, these communities created one of the world's first examples of regional urban planning. They shared architectural styles, economic systems, and religious practices. The Caral Supe site itself was the capital, but the nearby settlements, such as Aspero on the coast, show how inland and coastal societies worked hand in hand. Caral provided cotton for making nets, while Aspero supplied fish and marine goods. This partnership reveals a balanced model of interdependence. Caral also shaped later civilizations. Many features that appear centuries later among the Andean cultures, such as quippus for record-keeping, terraced farming, and sun-aligned architecture, may trace their roots to this early society. The mystery of Caral remains its quiet voice. Unlike Mesopotamia, Egypt, or the Maya, it left no written script to describe its rulers, its myths, or its laws. Instead, we must read its ruins, plazas, staircases, musical instruments, and sacred fires as the chapters of its history. This silence challenges scholars, but it also gives Caral a timeless aura. It reminds us that not all civilizations measured greatness through conquest or empire. Some built their legacies through peace, knowledge, and community, even after its decline, around 1800 BCE, likely due to climate changes and river shifts. Caral left behind a foundation for future Andean cultures. It shows humanity's ability to adapt, innovate, and thrive in harmony with the land. All the information we provide comes from verified historical sources, including books, records, and archaeology. Main references include Ruth Shady's research on Caral, the Caral Supe Archaeological Project, findings published in Science and Penis, and field studies by Peruvian archaeologists from the Universidad Nacional Mayor de San Marcos. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Thrones of Knowledge, and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified on time. Suggest our next topic in the comments to help make our journey even better.